Hey, good morning, friends. Today, my friends, is Tuesday, April the 7th, 2026, and the time now is 7:30 a.m. So, friends, I want to first acknowledge something. So, I'm a Liberian born in Liberia, and yesterday was an anniversary or an important part of Liberian history in terms of recent history. And it has to do with a war that started in the 1990s. And in Liberia, it is known as the April 6th War. So it was a major hot war in Liberia during the series of Liberian civil wars, which started in the 1980s. So I made a program yesterday talking about Donald Trump's insult of MBS, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Donald Trump's threat to Iran, telling them, okay, or ordering them or whatsoever to open the fucking straits, the Strait of Hormuz, or that he is going to release hell on them. And when I went home yesterday and I thought about it, and I realized that yesterday was April 6th, which is a very important or interesting time in Liberian Civil War history. So I just want to acknowledge that. Now, friends, today I want to talk about Thailand, and I want to talk briefly about Thailand regarding the situation in the Middle East. And I'm talking in this case the war of choice, the United States and Israel's war of choice against Iran, which in this case seems to not be going according to plan because Iran is fighting back and Iran is causing damage, especially to American military bases in the Middle East, in Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and so on, and also substantial damage or damages to Israel. As of now, it is obvious, and many prominent scholars and commentators on international relations, politics, military, and so on, stressing that Israel, as of now, has no defense. Israel and the United States military bases in the Middle East and Middle Eastern countries such as the UAE, Qatar, and so on. They do have no air defense for Iranian missiles that are basically just bombarding the heck out of these areas, regions, and institutions or installations in the Middle East. And Iran is fighting for its life, and it is doing so significantly but effectively. And the entire world is championing Iran, and many are saying that Iran is going to free the world and that Iran is currently freeing the Middle East. Now, the United States is basically extracting its military personnel and so on and other assets from the Middle East. But I want to ask, where are they going? Now, Africa and Africans, we need to be concerned because the possibility that these assets can then be transplanted on African soil is very much something that we need to be concerned about and take into consideration. Now, as an African, Pan Africanist, who basically not only talking about African freedom, but where Africa has to be in the near or far future, the United States or any Western country implanting their military installation on African soil not only grant or guarantee access for these countries, the United States or any Western countries, to African resources, but these installations will serve as spy against us Africans, African rebels who will want to one day rise up against these governments who are not doing anything for the people and basically take over to initiate the changes that our people need. So in this case, we are not only going to be rising up against African leaders and governments of current, but also of the Western hegemon institutions or installations on African soil that are going to be spying on us, Africans who want to rise up. Now, in terms of the situation in the Middle East, I do support Iran. Iran is defending itself. The war against Iran was a war of choice, an unjust, unprovoked war, which the United States and Israel launched against Iran. But now Israel is saying it is calling for ground invasion of Iran, but that it doesn't want to, or that it is not going to be involved in the ground invasion, basically egging on the United States, which is now stuck in the situation, to go and fight Iran. Now the United States is stuck. It has been badly embarrassed in the Middle East, but it cannot backtrack. It cannot pull back because in this case, the U.S. reputation is at stake here. So the situation in the Middle East is getting worse for the United States, for Israel, and for the global community. In terms of the situation, we are seeing food prices and prices of goods and services, of commodities, rising all over the world. Now, I usually travel, especially in the summertime, and already I'm seeing a significant rise in the prices of flights throughout the world. I remember during the COVID time and also after COVID 19, the prices of flights increased drastically and significantly, at least few hundreds or hundreds of dollars. Now, it seems as if the airline industry take or has taken into consideration or taken to their advantage the fact that COVID-19 happened to jack up the price, but has not done anything to reduce the price. With the current situation in the Middle East, I believe that we are going to see the prices of goods and services and commodities rising all over the world. And we are seeing that happening significantly. And this is where Thailand comes into play. Now, guys, forgive me for deviating. This is something I usually do, and I do not mean that, but it often happens. Now, in terms of the situation in the world, we are seeing countries around the world, and in this case, Thailand, are basically egging their people. The government are asking their people to take certain measures as a means to deal with the current situation, which has unfolded as a result of the United States and Israel's unprovoked war against Iran. Now, the government of Thailand, led by the Prime Minister of Thailand, is basically asking people to begin to work at home or work anywhere as a means to reduce the stress that the rise in price and the constraint on the oil industry and also other industries, which are basically a continuation, okay, a part of the oil industry, the constraint that it is basically creating for the economy of Thailand. So the government is asking its people in Thailand to work at home, to work from anywhere, to carpool, to use public transportation, rapid transportation, but also to stay away from individual cars and so on, to stay away from any mechanism, any activities, which in this case result in the rapid use of their oil or resource reserves. Also, Thailand is putting a restriction on the export of commodities such as palm oil, which is very much important for biodiesel and other production as well. Palm oil is, or palm tree, if you will, is one of the miracle plants or products out there. So many things can be created from the palm tree. Whether you get the palm oil, which can be used to make soap and other things. It can be used to make biodiesel, and so many things can come out of the palm tree or palm oil. So it is very interesting. Now, countries in the Middle East, in Asia, and around the world, in Africa, are doing whatever they can to reduce, to alleviate the situation on their people, on their domestic realms, that the war on Iran has unleashed on the rest of the world. Now, as an African, my question here is, what are African leaders and countries and government are doing? I apologize once again. I know I am talking or should be talking about Thailand briefly, But what I do is, whenever I talk about a situation, I try to extend to Africa to see how it impacts Africa because I'm an African. I'm very much concerned about how the situation around the world and in various countries impact Africa. So my question is, what are African governments and leaders and countries are doing as a means to tackle the increase in prices for commodities or various products and goods and services that the illegal, unjust, unprovoked war on Iran has triggered for the rest of the world? Many around the world, many prominent observers and thinkers on international relations and on various fields are voicing their concern of the mass immigration or mass refugee situation which could unfold as a result of the war on Iran. And we are talking about famine, starvation, and an increase of this war, the expansion, the spread of this war on Iran. In this case, we could also see food crisis all over the world, and Africa has often been a hotbed for situations such as famine and food crisis. I hope African leaders and countries and governments are doing a lot to tackle the situation. Now, I do not know. I know Thailand, as one of the means to try to uh, tackle the situation that the war on Iran and the war in the Middle East has unleashed. Thailand, yes, has said or is said to have a significant oil reserve compared to many countries around the world. However, even Thailand, the government of Thailand, the prime minister of Thailand, are putting in measures and encouraging their people to take certain action as a means to not stress their oil reserve, to conserve energy. One such thing that the government and prime minister of Thailand is advising people to, especially officials in the government, is to wear short sleeve when they go out. In this case, by wearing short sleeve, they do not have to worry about air conditioning or air condition as a means to cool themselves down and prevent sweat. We all know whenever you are out there, you're dressing to your best, looking hot, looking nice, beautiful, looking sexy. And for politicians, members, okay, officials of government who have to wear business suits and so on, you basically sweat in that thing. And when you're in your suit, especially if you're wearing your white shirt, you do not want to sweat, especially your armpit under your arm. It feels nasty, but also it is uncomfortable. You do not want to sweat, so you need your air conditioner. In this case, the government of Thailand is saying wear short sleeve, with the exception of ceremonial activities, when it's just irregular, mundane activities as pertaining to your job description. Wear short sleeve, look normal, look average. In this case, air conditioner or air conditioning is irrelevant. It is not important. Okay, you do not have to have it or need it, which in this case enable us to conserve energy. So that is a very interesting thing that Thailand is doing. Now, friends, this is the first video about Thailand, for Thailand, and of Thailand. If you're new to this channel, friend, or if you're watching my videos for the first time, I want to first thank you for watching, for commenting. I want to thank you for being a member of the Echoing Voice community, my friends. Once again, friends, if you're new to this channel or if you're watching my videos, the videos of this channel for the first time, I want you to know that this channel is set up in a very unique way. In this case, this is how it is set up. Every institution, every significant international institution in the world, such as the United Nations, the African Union, CARICOM, NATO, European Union, does have at least one playlist on this channel. However, every country in the world has at least two playlists on this channel, and this is how it works. The playlists are named the country's name and domestic the country's name. The country's name playlist will feature videos, talks, programs, or ideas pertaining to the country's interaction with countries and institutions around the world. Whether we are talking about financial institutions, other countries, the United Nations, or other global institutions, geopolitics, wars, and so on and so on and so on. Videos such as this. Programs talks ideas about Thailand's geopolitical position in its region and around the world, and Thailand's opinion or position on the war in the Middle East and wars and conflicts or situation around the world. However, friends, the domestic the country's playlist will feature videos, talks, or ideas that focus specifically on a country, or in this case, Thailand's domestic situation. Whether we are talking about food security, agriculture, whether we are talking about education, employment for the youth, employment for the people, transportation, and so on and so on and so on. Basically, domestic activities and domestic situation or topics within Thailand. Now, friends, please tell me what you think. And friends, I really want to know what you think. However, friends, I'm going to end here. I want to thank you for being a member of the Echoing Voice community, my friends. But most especially, and most importantly, or most important, my friends, I want to thank you a lot for watching the Echoing Voice. Peace, my friends. Peace.